Greetings, loyalists and heretics. Welcome to Iron and Ceramite, where we once again enter the war without an astropath.
Hello and welcome to Iron and Ceramite, and today we're trying out a bit of a battle report. So this will be the first time we're doing it. It's a bit rough and ready, but we're going to give it a go. So bear with us and hopefully you enjoy it. Today I'm joined by John.
Hello.
And we've got 1,000 points, so nice and small while we practice this out. It's the Death Guard versus the Necrons in what I'm referring to as a dash and bash. So that hopefully we're able to get it done. Fairly small table in terms of the battlefield, but nice enough in terms of what we're going to have in terrain, and we'll show you that once it's all set up. We'll also go through the armies. We've already rolled off for today's mission, and John, what is it?
So we're going to be playing an incursion round called Forward Push. We'll obviously show you a bit more when we're set up, but we have 4 objectives labelled A to D, and if you pick the secondary objective, at the end of your movement phase, when you take an action, you can score various points. So depending on where you are, the points are worth 1, 2, 4 or 8 points, and obviously it's reversed for whatever side of the table you're on.
As we know, in 9th, obviously the objectives are key to winning rather than just trying to kill everything, although we'll typically revert to form and just try and kill each other anyway rather than go for the objectives. But it's important we go through it. Anyway, that's the intro, and next time, or the next bit you'll see from us is where we go through the forces.
So starting with my Death Guard forces, we start over here with 16 Poxwalkers. We have 5-man squad of Plague Marines. The Plague Champion has a plasma pistol, and he has been given a CP already for Champion of Disease, where I've upgraded his sword to Plague Bringer, which is a nice relic, hopefully deal out plenty of damage. With him we've got 1 Blight Launcher and a squad of just 3 regular bolters. Over here some Psycho activity with a Malignant Plaguecaster. He's been given some lovely psychic powers to use. Obviously he gets Smite. He'll get the lovely Curse of the Leper, Plague Wind, and Putrescent Vitality to try and help the friendly units he's around. He's been given Hulking Physique and spent a CP on that. And then we have the Warlord, Lord Felfius himself, the Lord of Contagion, obviously upgraded so he has his Reaper and his Orb to use. And he has also been given a CP relic of the Reaper of Glorious Entropy. He will be backed up by his squad of Blightlord Terminators, the Champion in the middle there with his Bubotic Axe and Combi Plasma. We've got our Flail of Corruption, which is the auto take for me, and then we've got a Combi Melter on one side. We've got a Combi Bolter to the rear and a Blight Launcher at the rear as well. 2 of my favourites, the Mephitic Blight Haulers. They will hopefully help thin the ranks of the Necron troops. And to finish it off, I've got a lovely another surprise set of Poxwalkers, and there's 16 there. Hopefully they will do the job and rot away the Necron metal. The secondaries I have chosen to help me out are Spread the Sickness. Rather than taking the secondary that comes with the game, I've chosen that just because it's a bit more nurgly. We've got Thin Their Ranks to score points for each unit I kill, and Despoiled Ground, which is essentially the nurgly version of Engage on All Fronts. There we go.
Okay, so just going to take you through the Necron force that I've assembled today to take on the Death Guard over the table. We'll start left to right. as you can see. So I've got a blob of 16 Necron warriors, hopefully taking advantage of reanimation protocols where there's a few of them. There's 8 Gals Flayers and 8 Gals Reapers in this unit. It's worth noting that these are the Saltec dynasty that I'm taking, which means they get some buffs on rapid fire. Rather than rapid firing at half range, they rapid fire at 18 inches, so hopefully will help me out on this table. Moving over, a couple of old hammer models coming in there. These are the low cost destroyers. They're just the standard ones, they're not heavy, but again they've got a few different buffs that can go in to help re-roll attacks. Moving on to the HQs, you can see the big lad there, that's our Scorpec Lord. I've paid a CP to give him a Warlord trait, which is Immortal Pride, and he also has the Nano Scarab casket, which buffs his living metal effect, which is nice. And then down in front we've got the Warlord, which is Imhotep, so Imhotep the Stormlord. Various different bits and pieces. Because he's a Pharaon, he also gets my Will Be Done on 2 units, so hopefully that's going to help these 2 big Necron warrior blobs I've got. Leading at the fast attack, never leave home without them. Couple of Scarab bases, so 2 units there, 3 Scarab bases in each one. They'll be looking to run up the table as quickly as possible. And then elites, I've gone for the 3 Scorpec destroyers. Always take more if you can, but unfortunately I couldn't get any more painted up. But hopefully they'll come along, they'll run up the table and do some damage. If they don't do that, they will draw a lot of firepower just to get rid of them, while everything else is moving up the table. And then finally, another blob of Necron warriors. Again, 16 in here. These ones have all got the Gauze Flayers, again for the rapid fire rule that we've got. And then for me, the objectives I'm going to be taking will be obviously the standard take and hold, which is the primary objective for the mission we've rolled off, as well as engage on all fronts, purge the vermin, and Code of Combat. Code of Combat, I'm hoping to obviously utilise the Scorpec Lord if he can survive, but obviously tends to take a bit of firepower because people see him as a threat. But we will see. It's a heavy count in terms of units. It's actually quite close in terms of models on either side. I think it's about 42 to 45 on the count just when we were setting up. So it's going to be pretty close. It's going to be interesting to see how it goes. Obviously with the Necrons, I've only got 2 units that have objectives secured, so it's going to be interesting to see about how effective this is going to be at taking those objectives. But should be good. Should be a good 1,000 point battle coming up very shortly.
So this is us set up, ready to go. Deployment has happened. As you can see on the right hand side of the board, Shane's Necrons are set up, ready to go. Going across, we've got scatterings of light terrain. The big object in the centre is obscuring completely, as are the containers. And then we've got some breachable walls and some light cover scattered around in the barrels and boxes. And then on the left hand side are the Death Guard set up, ready to go. Cool. Anything to add, Shane?
No, just a few bits and pieces. So I start with 7 CP. John's starting on 3 because of what we spent before the game. Obviously, I get a few more because of Imhotep. And we rolled off first turn. Both got 5 first up. So re-rolled again. I got the 6. So good for me, bad for John. But because it's a bit of a cagey deployment, both of us are behind a lot of cover. So it's going to be interesting to see what happens first turn, like how bold I go, because I don't want to get too open to the multi-melters of the Mephitic Blight Haulers, which are always fun. So we'll see, but first turn about to go.
So, end of Necron turn 1. Shane, tell us what happened.
Yeah, so starting this side, I advanced with the Scorpec and the Scorpec Lords. They got good advance rolls, so they've moved up here from back here. Similarly, the Scarabs, they didn't advance, they just ran up to taking that. Then I also advanced the Necron Warrior blob here, but only got 1, so they've only moved up a little bit. All a little bit exposed for my liking. Bit of a tactical error here. I moved these up thinking they're going to be hopefully within shooting range of some of the other bits and pieces. They're not, so they're just now out and exposed, which is all very handy. Imatech himself moved up a little bit, tried to get line of sight so that he could do his Call the Storm, which he did. I wanted to do it while everything was blobbed together. Unfortunately, rolls didn't go my way, so we only took out a Plague Marine and injured another one, a couple of Poxwalkers as well, but nothing too dramatic. These Scarabs ran up, not too worried about them being out in the open, that's what Scarabs do. Hopefully ready to tie something up next turn. And then this Necron Warrior Squad, they did move forward, they didn't advance, they were just moving forward so they could shoot. Again, they shot into the Poxwalkers up here, taking 2 of them out. Pretty quiet turn for round, or turn 1 for me, as it was always going to be with the Necrons and the way this battle's set up. So we'll see how we go. What happens now in the Death Guard turn?
Yeah, and I just have to say, after the Stormlord attack, I was quite worried, and I think I've got away pretty lightly with 1 Plague Marine and a handful of Poxwalkers, considering just how shooty your army looks. I was very worried to lose turn 1.
It looks shootier than it is. It's, I think because of the way we've set up the terrain and stuff like that, it was always going to be a bit of a cagey turn 1.
Yeah.
So we'll see whether my boldness in moving forward is going to help or hinder me.
Okay, right, my turn.
Yep. Okay, so you join us end of Death Guard turn 1. And John's going to quickly talk us through from right to left what he's been up to.
Right, so we advanced the Poxwalkers. These guys got 4 extra inches to move up, so that's good. Still behind cover, heading up towards the objectives. Blight Hauler moved up as well. Did a bit of shooting over here. Bit of luck, really. We managed to take out a Necron Warrior 2. We've got rid of some of the Scarabs and 1 Scorpion Destroyer with the help of the Blight Lords and Plague Marines, who tucked under here. Benefited some extra rolls thanks to Felfius, who's tucked behind them with his aura abilities, helped me re-roll some hit rolls of 1. The Plague Caster, he stayed in cover, moved back slightly, and we've spread the sickness. He's taken 2 mortal wounds, unfortunately. Luckily, he's got hulking physique, so he's got the extra wound. Hopefully, we'll regain that later with another trick. Up here, Poxwalkers only got the extra inch, but they are, when they advance, but they're obviously on the target, ready to play the next round. And the Blight Holders moved up to support them. And for all his efforts, I think he only took out one warrior over there. So quite disappointing on that side. Bit better over here. We've got, thanks to the reanimation protocols as well, my tally for thin their ranks is now on 7. But I've obviously spread the sickness. I'll get those points at the end of the game. But overall, Shane's got 4 victory points for, what do you call it? The Vermin?
Purge the Vermin. So
Purge the Vermin.
nothing in my half of the table. So I get 2 points for each quarter that doesn't contain any enemy units.
Yeah, and that's it. No primaries can be scored and no other secondaries for this round. So, yeah, not the most heavy hit in round 1. So round 2 should be interesting, I think.
Indeed. On to round 2.
So that is the end of the Necrons turn 2. Shane, talk us through it.
Yeah, so a bit of shuffling around, trying to keep everyone away from the Blight bombardment. The heroic Scarabs this side, the one base that was left, charged into the Mephitic Blight Hauler, used a stratagem to blow it up, so just chipping away at that. Unfortunately, the Scorpex failed their charge, so they are a bit out in the open, as did the Scorpec Lord. Didn't feel like re-rolling it, so left it as is. The 2 destroyers, they fired a bit of damage into the Plague Marines. Again, I think we've got 2 of those left now, so they're still in there. And these Necron Warriors kind of swarmed around here a little bit. Again, just within rapid fire range, again, taking out some of the Plague Marines, just chipping those guys down. The blob of Poxwalkers probably going to be a little bit annoying in a bit, as are the Terminators, and obviously the Mephitic Blight Haulers are still hanging around, which is never pleasant. So turn 2 could be a big one. We come over here, and The other brave little scarabs charged up into the mephitic, and again self-destructed, taking off another couple of wounds. So this one's down to 6, so within striking range of being taken down. You may notice a big gap here. That was where we had a big lot of Poxwalkers. Again, a couple of CP used for the big unit of Necron warriors here to lay down a lot of fire onto them, take them all out. So that worked. So that part of the plan is working. This flank, feel like I'm in control of. This flank is very much in the balance. So end of turn 2, we'll see how hard the Death Guard punch back, but it could swing on this.
And spoiler alert, going into my command phase, I've thrown away 2 CP, spread the board with the Blight Bombardment. That's going to go off, and no one's going to be within 6 inches. So there's just going to be a nice big crater at that end of the board.
So we are now at the end of battle round 2, end of the Death Guard turn 2 as well. And obviously you can see there's a lot of stuff missing from the backfield as it all moved up. So let's come over here. This flank here is very much Death Guard heavy. As you can see, there's a space from where the Poxwalkers once were as they made the charge around the crate into the Necron warriors. John, do you want to talk about that one?
Yeah, so they moved up, we advanced, you got in some Overwatch. Not very good Overwatch, was it?
Nope.
What did you do? I think
2.
2 went. We got into that. We've had a fight. I took out 3 warriors and managed to bring my Poxwalkers almost back up to full strength. So there was 16. We're now sitting on 14. So that was good. All good there. We managed to get into combat. So the Terminators and Felfius all charged. There was a reroll as well to get, I believe, Felfius into the mix. We've got rid of the Scorpath destroyers, and we've got this big brute now down to 2 wounds. He hit back on Felfius and luckily has done no damage. So I'm quite happy
Total whiff.
with what's going on here because he is mean and I just got lucky, I think. Yeah, and then we did a bit of shooting onto the Lockhurst and not too much to report back there. Plague Marines moved up, nothing really. They did a bit of shooting, helped scratch some wounds off. This guy with the Blight Launcher's down to 1 wound. My champion's not done too much there. This guy did some shooting. I thought, oh, I'll charge him in. Didn't make it, got overwatched. Luckily, because there's a big group there, no damage taken, so it was all very good. And here, not too much. We took out the last of the Scarabs with his shooting, and he's just chilling, waiting to get blown away. And the happy little Plaguecaster, he's just looking after the point for me. And that is that. So I'm pretty happy. Got up there. Obviously, there's a lot of shooting to happen. Luckily, most of my stuff over here is in combat, so hopefully won't take too much of a hit. But the points at the end of round 2, Shane's sitting on 20 and I'm sitting on 5. Hopefully I can turn it around by the end of this round. And now you're joining us at the end of the Necron round 3. Where do you want to start with this one?
Let's start over on the flank where it's all happening. So the Necron warriors here actually fell back out of combat. So they didn't want to stay in combat with the Poxwalkers. Idea being that if he does want to come into them, he's going to have to charge again, and I can get another round of Overwatch off. So that's the plan there. The Lockhurst destroyers moved out and away so that they could lay down some fire up table. They did a little bit, but not too much damage, taking down this Blight Hauler to 1 wound. Then in the middle of this fight here, the Scorpec Lord went back up to 4 wounds. Has just managed to hold on, which will be interesting to see what happens next turn because he gets to attack first. He still hasn't been out. It just at this point, if he takes out any units, that's going to be a bonus. But at the moment, he's clinging on, so there's a real struggle over here. And then we keep sweeping round. Immediate move forward, keep buffing this unit. Fired off all of his range into this Athletic as well. Again, chipping a few off, but not doing enough. These guys also moved forward, used multiple stratagems to try and get fire off on this Mephetic Blight Hauler. Again, only taking off, I think it's 2 wounds in the end, but close enough that they will capture the objective. And that is the end of my turn 3. Obviously, every turn now is getting a bit pokey, a bit tough. The old Death Guard are definitely swinging for it, so it's whether or not I can cleverly stay away and lay fire down without losing. Unfortunately, my punchy units have not really punched, and that's leaving the shooty units to do the damage. But their time is running out as the Death Guard stomp up the table, trying to get hold. But as I said, hopefully turn 4, depending on what's left, I should still score well on the objectives. So it's whether or not I can hold on to the end of the game with units intact.
We shall see.
Okay, here we are at the end of Battle Round turn 3 and Death Guard's turn 3. Very successful as the turns have gone on. As you can see, that the table is looking more and more putrid as the Death Guard sweep round. John's very happy.
Yeah.
Let's start over with the least interesting unit first of all.
So they were obviously here. I want to keep this table quarter, so I've moved them out of harm's way. Blight Launcher popped off a shot. I think he took out a Necron warrior, but they've just been hiding there, really, keeping that side of the board. Over here, Poxwalkers charged into these Necron warriors, have killed all but 2 and even brought back one of their friends, so that's great. Helped by Felfius, who threw his orb into the midst, and basically out of a total of 9, got 8 attacks, and they all went off perfectly. So he has paid dividends. Over here, the Terminators charged into Imatech, getting in. Felfius charged but didn't make it. Imatech overwatched, didn't manage to do anything, and actually the Terminators have killed him, but reanimation protocols have brought him back with D3 wounds, giving him 3 wounds. Annoying. The 2 Blight Haulers, they've charged into these Necrons. Their shooting today has been pathetic. By rights, they should have... The plan was to wipe the Necrons early, and they haven't done it, so they've charged in. I think it was 22 shots into this guy of Overwatch, and didn't even scratch him. He's still on 1 wound. This guy took a wound earlier. They're sitting here blocking the point. So I'm pretty happy. Plaguecaster, he's just doing his job at the back. Psychic powers, useless. One thing that did go well, at the start, obviously, we had the big brute, what was he called?
The Scorpec Destroyer Lord.
Yes, so I released the toxins on him, spent my last 2 CP, and managed to get
This happy boy was the one that did that.
Using his relic, managed to get the CP in, to get mortal wounds in, couldn't save them, took him off the board, and it took a couple of warriors with it as well, actually. So, my best round 3, pretty happy. Scores on the doors at this moment in time: 29 to Shane, 10 to myself. We'll have to do a bit of maths and see where we go from here.
Yeah, I think we're gonna stop very quickly, take a break, do a bit of math hammer, because as you can see, it's looking very bleak for the Necron. There's not much left on the board, and not much they can do really. But it might mathematically still be possible. So let's check it out, see whether that's the case.
Yeah,
and if it is, we'll keep going.
We've got 2 rounds. So you could pull a miracle off here, or I could do what I always do against you and throw the game away.
Well, I don't know. Yeah, maybe. But we'll see. As I said, at the moment in this dash and bash, the Death Guard are the ones doing the bashing.
Yeah. So we worked out the maths to end it at the end of round 3. Would just be too close on points to work out exactly where we stand.
Yeah.
So we have continued. Shane, what has happened in this very quick round?
Yeah, very much a summary. So fell back over here with the 2 remaining Necron warriors. No real tactical there, just trying to make the Poxwalkers charge again and distract them from other units. The Locust dropped down and back again to fire off a shot but stay within 3 of the 4. If he can survive a turn, that might help me out to a degree there. Imatech fell back further as well, fired in some shots into the Terminators, only gave them 1 damage, so wasn't too much there. And then these Necron warriors have stayed wrapped in combat with the 2 Mephitic Blight Haulers. Again, they managed to survive the turn, but they didn't do any damage, which is unsurprising. So what that means at the end of this turn is, again, I didn't get any on the primaries in turn 4. I won't get anything for Purge the Vermin, because the Vermin are purging back. But I will still get 2 for Engage on all fronts, because I've got 1 there, 1 here, well, 2 units here, and then this unit just in this quarter. So I will get 2 for that, and that will be the only points I get this round.
Fair enough. Now, my turn, and I just need to clean this table.
Okay, so end of Death Guard turn 4, after the very rapid Necron one, and as you can see, there's not much grey metal left on the table. John, do you want to talk us through your turn?
Yeah. So, firstly, we start with the Plague Marines, who were in hiding. I edged them over just so they could see the last 2 Necron warriors. Keeping my Poxwalkers in place, we spread the sickness to get a secondary here, and amazingly, the Blight Launcher managed to go off perfectly and take out those 2 Necron warriors, so we've got nothing to worry about over there. Over here, Felfius moved up in preparation to charge the Lockhurst destroyer that was left. However, the Blight Haulers finally came through in combat. The chappie over here managed to break out, kill the Necrons in front of him, and get out of engagement, allowing him to fire through and take the survivor out. This guy then managed to actually kill the last couple of Necron warriors, clearing a path here, so that was good. Terminators, they marched up, put a few rounds into what's his name? Imatech. I've only said it 100 times today. Couldn't quite kill him from a distance, so they charged in, flailed him to death, and all is good. Yeah.
Okay, so there we go. So we'll do some quick maths just to get the final scores, give you the round up there, and then maybe we'll also do a little bit on who in each of our armies was our MVP, who we would go and take again next time round, and maybe some final thoughts. So here we are, end of the match. A couple of hours later, 4 turns or 4 and a bit turns later. Didn't quite make the whole way. You'll see in front of us are arrayed the Death Guard, clearly indicating a very successful battle from your part, John. Very well played. Yeah. So we'll start with a bit of going through things. Obviously, the scores on the doors finished at 31 to the Necron and 63 to the Death Guard.
Yeah.
7 short of 70. I would say that's 7 being the blessed number, 70 being a multiple of that. I think that's all well and good, and makes sense from a lore perspective. What do you think went well for you?
Do you know what? I think round 3 decided that.
Yeah.
Round 1 was pretty uneventful both sides.
It was, yeah.
Round 2 I was quite worried because shooty things started happening, and you really closed in. I think putting the Blight Haulers together.
Round 2 was a good round. Yeah.
Backing up that Blight Hauler who was on his own, I think saved me over there. Yeah. And generally, I just think it went well. It was a good game for me.
I think so.
Considering we've played, this is our 4th game against each other.
I think would be.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, we played two of each, right? This is the second Necron run out.
Yeah.
Soundly beaten this time round.
Yeah.
In comparison to the first time round where we were both I mean, if you think about it, I think there was our second game ever at that point. So obviously very different. But this one, as I said, I think for me the big thing was you remembering all of your buffs and everything that went into it, because it does make a big difference with Death Guard. And as you said, moving that Mephitic Blight Hauler over to the other flank just slowed up the big blob of Necrons that was pushing up that way, which would have been good. And then on my other flank, unfortunately, the Scorpex whiffed again. So
they really did.
They didn't do what they were there to do, and so dash and bash didn't really happen for the Necron. There was a bit of dashing, but then they got bashed.
My Terminator's getting through only taking one wound the whole game as well. And they went through the middle to one flank and then walked over to the other side.
They had enough time to get around.
I don't think they've ever done me so well.
No, they did dominate as a force, and I think Felfius also did really well. Even just as almost like a sixth Terminator, as that were. It's like he just follows the Terminators around and buffed everything, so that really helped. I think as soon as the Necrons couldn't punch through early, that was it. It was more of a waiting game, and I didn't get enough points on the board because I didn't really score after turn 3, and that was it. Not enough points on the board to stay away from you for long enough.
And I only had one primary objective up until that last round. I was worried that's where I was going to lose it for most of the game. I thought I can't get onto the points because you move forward so fast. And it's just I mean, Terminator's punched through one side, Blight Hauler's stopped you getting onto the other point.
That was it.
And I don't know,
because I think if the Blight Hauler had gone down, I would have swept round that flank, and it just would have made you have to do something else with your units, freeing up this side. But because you didn't have to do that, you're just able to sweep them all in front.
I mean, he sat on one wound for a long time.
Yeah, but I mean that's all he did. He didn't kill anything.
No, and that Blight Hauler just sat there. And how many shots do you think you took on him?
Oh yeah,
a good 50.
Yeah, he tanked a lot of shots. But again, I think this is sometimes it's the drawback of 1,000 points lists is you can only get so much in it, and you know, Necrons, as good as they are for the units are for laying, you know, large volleys of fire out, so they've wiped out one of the Poxwalker units, because as I said, if there'd been more infantry, that would have been more than enough. But they didn't have any punch, and the two destroyers wasn't enough firepower just on their own, and the Scorpex didn't get into combat or didn't do enough damage when they were in combat. So it's a bit of a shame in that regard. But I can't take anything away. Like as I said, you played the mission, and you played it as what was in front of you. So it's a well-deserved victory.
Thank you very much. A really good game.
Who was your if you're looking at your list, who would you take again? Who's your MVP this time around?
Felfius, I think, getting that orb off and getting all but one wound.
I think he had a good game, didn't he?
Yeah, all but one attack he hit, and hit well. Backed up the Terminators. I think the loadout I put him with that just buffed everybody. I mean, normally my playcaster is a little bit better. He did all right in the end. He did what he wasn't as useful as I wanted to. And actually, I was quite worried that I only bought 5 Marines, but that worked out really well as well, because you just sort of left them alone.
Well, I did to begin with. I started them, but as soon as they were down to 2, that was it. I kind of thought threat neutralised, and then never really worried about them again. And then at that point, I didn't have enough troops to worry about it. I think the Poxwalkers on this flank did really well as well.
They did. When that first lot of Poxwalkers, you took out 16 Poxwalkers in a round. I thought I was doomed, because the plan was get them up, advance them up, and stop you. And then you just wiped them off the table. And I thought, all I've got over on that side is one Blight Hauler. I was quite scared. But yeah, I mean, I managed to recover it, which I'm amazed, because one lucky wound on that other Blight Hauler.
It could have been,
and that could have been it.
It could have been, but it was a bit swingy. I think that's it. I think there was definitely lessons there in terms of shot selection. I think for me, I did really like and I think it's something I'll do more often. I did like taking the big blob of Necrons, and I think the sooner I can get enough that I can max out 2 squads of 20, I think that happens because it just makes them more resilient, gives them more in terms of the protocols, and with the strats you can just put out huge amount of fire with exploding 6s and stuff like that, and it's that exploding 6s that could get rid of your blight haulers. But like in the turns 2 and 3 when I did it, I think I only rolled out like 20 odd dice. I think I only rolled 1 6, so it you know, there's shot selection there. If in the first turn rather than the Poxwall, because I'd gone for one of the blight haulers, I would have taken him out. Didn't, because I was like, how many 6s am I going to roll? Turned out in that first one a lot. After that, not so much.
So same question to you then. MVP for you?
Yeah, it's a tough one. I think it's either going to be the blob of 16 Necron warriors or Imatech. Imatech was handy. Although he didn't really do a lot combat wise at all, but the bits he did do, it shows a lot of potential. So I think having someone there to farm CP was really good.
That was frustrating. You can't see it, but the amount of CP I crossed out and put back on there every time.
Got lots of CP, which was good, and you get 2 extra for having them anyway. So I think he did really well in that regard. He got killed, came back, so that was quite good. But other than that, he did, and all the storm caller, so the bit where he calls the storm at the beginning, that could have been better.
That was unlucky.
That was a good, and there's enough potential there. I think, he's all right as a character. I think that people often think that you get a lot back when you're in the Necrons with the reanimation protocols, but when you look at your Finite down scores, so I was tabled. I had 45 models at the start of the day. I think you counted 53 destroyed. So I only bought 8 back. So it's not as many as you'd think.
I think I might have bought the same amount of Poxwalkers back.
Exactly.
And that's just I didn't even get to reanimate them. It was just through killing.
That's it. So
I mean, what's this squad? This squad's 1. I've lost 1 in this squad after all of that. So I mean, I don't think I've ever played that well against anybody, and it's the first game we've recorded. It's the best game I've ever played. I'm going to retire.
Well, that's it. As I said, you're only as good as your last game, so it's time to finish.
I need a rematch against the Space Wolves now. I
think we need to do that. Maybe we can maybe a little bit more. Few more points, because I know I've got that, so we can see what happens. But I think a run out for the Wolves makes a bit of sense. We'll see what happens that time round. But otherwise, it's a very, very entertaining game. Good 1,000-point dust up, well deserved victory.
Awesome, brilliant, good game. Thank you.
Good game. Cool. And we're Iron Ceramite, as you know. You can find us on all of the channels that we always talk about in all of our podcasts. Search Iron and Ceramite, you'll find us. And hopefully see a few more battle reports from us and the rest of the guys in due course.
As always, we would like to thank you for listening to our Iron and Ceramite podcast. If you liked us, then you can also find us on YouTube, Facebook, Instagram, and any other good podcast services. Just remember, in the grim darkness of the far future, there is only war.